Welcome back. I want to send you back to the Sanford Courthouse where Dennis Root is still on the stand. He's a former law enforcement officer, described himself as a trainer in the use of deadly force. Let's listen in.
At all in helping you determine where the altercation may have occurred or begun?
It helped create a picture in my mind as where it's possibly started at.
You were asked about blood flowing down or blood flowing back. In your experience, both from law enforcement and I guess more particularly from your experience as a, do we call you a fighter? Is that,
sure.
Okay, as a fighter, what happens when you get hit in the nose?
Well, there's a variety of things that take place with a nose strike. I mean, there's one of the most immediate things because of the nerve at the base of the nose with a nose strike. It can cause immediate tearing of the eyes. If the blow is significant enough and it does result in bleeding, there's a free flowing of blood, which, depending on the person, how it's flowing and so forth, it can fill the nasal cavity, drain out of the nose, but that can have an effect on your ability to breathe. Obviously, the most primary effect that it would have, in addition to injury, is the stunning effect that it can have on a person.
And in your experience with fighting MMA and other types, is getting in a blow like that early in a fight significant?
The training and everything behind it is...
Your Honor, it's calling for speculation.
Sustained.
If you were in a fight and want to get advantage over the other person, would a strike to the nose accomplish that?
Objection to relevance and speculation.
It could be heard, but I don't want to...
Pardon? Well, I don't know if that's in his experience or not. So.
Let me do a foundation.
Thank you.
You've been a fighter, correct?
Yes.
Just to remind the jury what we talked about this morning, you've actually done kickboxing?
Yes.
Does kickboxing include kicking and boxing?
Yes, basically it's boxing, and you have to have a minimum of 8 kicks per round to basically maintain the level of kickboxing, but it's using your feet and your hands.
Okay, and as part of using your hands, you strike body blows, correct?
Yes, punching.
And do you ever try and hit somebody in the face?
Repeatedly, yes.
Okay, is that sort of a target focus for you as a fighter to hit somebody in the face?
It is, especially with the jab.
Okay, and with that as an experience basis, how successful is getting in the first shot to the nose in a fight?
Getting the first shot into the face or into the person, it can provide a various outcome. The primary thing is you let the person know you're for real, and it's devastating, especially if you have a hard punch. You know, the rule of thumb for us in training and everything else is the fact that when a punch is thrown, if you're the recipient, and you take that punch, that first strike, which is generally speaking 100% of what the person has because they don't try to just half hit you, you've taken a majority of their power, and if you survive the first punch, you can stay in the fight. For somebody that's not well schooled or doesn't have the same ability, it can have a devastating effect. So getting the first strike in and setting the tempo of the fight and letting the person know that you're on the attack and you're the person in control of the fight is very important, and especially in any combat type art, because he who controls the ebb and flow of the fight, the rhythm of the fight, generally can become victorious.
And you've seen this picture before, of course?
Yes, sir.
Is this consistent with a strike to the nose?
Yes, sir.
If this was the first strike of the fight, would it be, as you testified, a significant maneuver to control the ebb and flow of the fight?
Judge, the objective is calling for speculation.
Based upon his experience and training, Your Honor.
But you're showing him a picture of something else, so you need to ask a different question, rephrase it.
Yes, Your Honor. You talked about your criminal justice degree, correct? But you talked earlier about the police academy. I want to see if there's any difference between the two. In your training, well, it's going to be difficult, but because you got your criminal justice degree after you started training as a law enforcement officer?
Oh, yes, I pursued my degree well into my career.
I'm going to try and separate the two. Did you learn any of your striking techniques or resistance techniques or takedown techniques in school for your criminal justice degree, or was just that in the academy and your further law enforcement training?
There was no physical courses like that required in my criminal justice degree. The criminal justice degree is geared toward more to educating you about the criminal justice system, about the courts, the processes, and things like that. The academy is about applying the enforcement of the laws. What laws are to be enforced, how to enforce them, physical ways to enforce it, how to conduct traffic stops, how to conduct everyday business as a professional law enforcement officer, whereas a criminal justice degree is kind of like the bookend, if you will, of criminal justice. It's how the system works in and of itself.
And having done it for now, I guess, 20, 25 years, did you enjoy being a law enforcement officer?
I did. I enjoyed being a police officer very much.
You think that it was, for you, a noble profession?
Absolutely.
Would you encourage or discourage, say you had a 20-year-old nephew or son, would you encourage them or discourage them from taking on a life of law enforcement?
Depends on the child. I have a stepson, for example, very physically fit, and I would encourage him without question to pursue it.
An interesting line of questioning that we're listening in as Mark O'Mara continues to question Dennis Root, asking him about his law enforcement background and whether he would recommend someone in his family join law enforcement. We'll continue to listen into this testimony, the relevance to this case, and some of the other interesting moments that happened, including what happened about 30 minutes ago when George Zimmerman was questioned directly by the judge in this case, Judge Deborah Nelson. We have our team standing by. We're going to a break. We'll be right back.